Every person in Dungeons & Dragons, whether just a viewer, a player, or a DM, we've all had that moment, that striking idea of, yeah, I could totally run a game. It would have this and that and the other thing, and of course pirates and spaceships, and you know, it's fun to daydream, less fun to prepare. Still fun to share those ideas though, so why not tell us about your campaign ideas in the comments below. I have a large campaign in the works that is centered on the city of Waterdeep, one that will expand upon the resources made available from the Dragon Heist adventure. The core of the campaign is actually designed to be a slice of life-styled adventure. The players are just trying to find their place within the city, looking for a place to live, paying their dues, and finding whatever jobs might suit them. But since this is, you know, the City of Splendors, various events tend to happen that interrupt their daily activities. A sudden rise of undead from the city cemetery, a local killer who seems to be targeting citizens under a new moon, objects animating at random, things happening in the background that they can get involved in. On a larger scale, there will be massive conflicts, the threat of a Thayan invasion, demonic incursions far beneath the city, turmoil among the gods, cats and dogs getting along. But the party will only be affected by these events behind the scenes. They'll hear about it through news and rumors, and every now and then they might have an encounter related to them. Force Grey, however, will play a large role, as they are sort of the superheroes of Waterdeep. The party will even get to meet them periodically, if the party decides to involve themselves in major threats. My favorite plotline involves a restaurant hotel that is ridiculously haunted, but the party can earn the deed to the property to essentially get a free living space. Every night, for 1 hour though, well, weird shit is gonna happen. There's one campaign I'm currently running with a friend, and I took some inspiration from games like Hollow Knight and Cult of the Lamb for the basic story and aesthetic. It's sort of a amnesia campaign, so we started with a blank character sheet which we'll be developing throughout the session. After waking up in a musty prison cell, my friend's character was pushed out into a large room where the Six awaited. The Six are a council of powerful demonic creatures that rule over the world, and have brought his character here for some crime he doesn't remember. Long story short, he was beheaded. But he didn't die. Oh no, instead, they were found by Zarok, a godlike being that is imprisoned in a realm of nothingness by the Six. They did the stereotypical deal of, I give you life and power if you kill the Six for me. And soon after, his character was dumped into the forest on a quest to kill the king of beasts, Morovisko. And that's where we ended the first session. I have all 6 planned, as well as the regions in which they reside, but not much else besides that. Well, I ran a Christmas one-shot one time that I like to call Christmas in the Plane of Fire. Jesus, it turned out really fun. The basic premise is that there are 2 friends, a copper dragon living in a desert in the Plane of Fire, and a powerful winter Eladrin living in the Plane of Ice between the planes of water and air. The party doesn't know they're friends. The copper dragon, named Sandy Claus, obviously, God, tasks the players with hunting down and stealing an artifact from the Plane of Ice under the possession of Jack Frost. Again, obvious here. The whole time, the party is believing that the dragon is good and the Eladrin is evil, when in reality, he's just using the adventurers as a proxy to play a prank on his good friend. The adventure ended after the party realized something iffy was happening and confronted the 2. They laughed, apologized, and gave the party magic items and boons as a gift for providing them entertainment. It was honestly one of my favorite sessions to run. A noble family discovers that their 3 children have come under a mystical sickness. Traditional magic at this point seems to do very little, and in desperation, the mother meets with a hag. The hag says that she can cause the disease to transfer from the youngest to the oldest child, and that she will take the oldest as her own. Desperate to save any of them, the mother reluctantly agrees. The younger children are cured, while the oldest is turned into a new hag by the original one. Unlike most cases, This hag has the memories of the child she once was and comes into being with a thirst for vengeance. She learns under the first hag, and when she learned all that she needed, she killed her and waited for her next move. Her chance came when internal conflict in her former family's kingdom caused the family and their retainers to flee the forest. The father and several of the retainers turned to banditry to survive, while the mother sought out the original hag again. The new hag disguised herself as the original and led the mother to the proper place where she has harvested her souls and implanted it into her tree, turning it into a Gulthias tree. She dedicated this Gulthias tree to the true masters, the setting big bad evil guy that she served, and they used it to make war on the tribe of Elosh, a group that had annoyed them. You annoyed me. War. The new hag then turned her attention toward her former siblings. Enter the PCs. The PCs sail to the mysterious continent to find answers to events back home. They arrive at a town that the Elokai that's threatened by an ever-growing army of blights, and, to add insult to injury, also robbed by bandits. As they navigate this situation, they'll eventually find the middle child of the family who is looking for their hounded sibling. The youngest child had been captured by the new hag, but will soon be released and found. These two, the middle is now in adolescence now and the youngest is still a child, can help the PCs find the hag's lair where the tree also dwells. But once they get there, the hag claims that she has eaten the youngest and that they too will become a hag when the time comes. Even if and when the PCs defeat the hag and the Gulthias tree, they and the middle child will still have to determine if the hag was telling the truth or deceiving them. That's pretty dark. Here's an idea I've had percolating for a while. I'm not really settled on the specifics, but the general idea is to set a game on a Niven ring. For those unfamiliar with sci-fi megastructure concepts, here's a background run. A Niven ring is a ring constructed around a star at somewhere around the habitable zone. So think the Halo rings, but with a star in the middle. The idea being to feed the players hints that something is odd, but the characters in universe wouldn't have any clue that something non-natural is at work, at least at first. A campaign in a world where the people live on moving islands called terra shells. The islands are just giant sea turtles. The islands engage in free-for-all war games for accolades, resources, and the favor of their gods. The war games are actually non-violent, however. The terror shells possess powerful magic and travel through not just the physical sea, but also other realms. So whenever two islands are in a war game, they travel into a dimension that sort of acts like an ethereal plane. A duplicate to the material plane, but here, all injuries, even deaths sustained, are undone once the terra shells leave the plane. Pretty much resets everything to avoid unintended killing and damage to the islands themselves. The players act as participants in the war games and defend the honor of their terra shell island. There'd also be a strategic aspect as they help order around their island's troops in defensive and offensive battles. I recently ran a one-shot. It was an all-kobold party where they ventured into a massive Fey crossing Subterranean area caused by a massive planar rift hundreds of years ago. Basically, the area is consumed with wild magic and is kind of like a mix between Alice in Wonderland meets Atlantis or Avatar possibly. In their adventures, they encountered some crazy stuff, but one of their favorite encounters that I got to run was this magical forest. There was this absolutely stunningly beautiful stretch of woods with perfect trees, with multicolored leaves, and the best fruit they ever tasted. These giant butterflies were flying overhead, and an NPC stopped to pet one. The butterfly then turned on him and snapped him with a squelch, wrapping itself around him. They then learned that these butterflies were not friendly, and in fact appeared to prey on creatures venturing through, using the idyllic forest as a trap. Despite the party being level 12, it was cool in this fight seeing how quickly subversion of expectations made them afraid and took them from exploration to action mode in an instant. Some takeaways that I had were that it helps to set up fights however you can. Strictly speaking, make it so that there are no random encounters, That way every fight feels not only planned and well thought out to the player out of game, but immediately immerses them and provides intensity in-game. My characters began as performers in a traveling show who are misrepresented as actual heroes by an agent sent to monitor multi-dimensional activity of interest. The agent's lazy ploy for continued travel funding comes home to roost when his employer flies down in a Spelljammer looking for these capable heroes. Then it's a scramble to get them on board with the ruse and on board the physical galleon. Once gathered, they're told of the employer's desperate mission to seek out a source of great dimension warping power. One such object in Waterdeep pinged their scrying devices 3 days ago, which may or may not have inadvertently caused an earthquake under the city a day later. A shady faction in Waterdeep was hired to investigate, and so the heroes are asked to infiltrate that faction and secure the MacGuffin for their own. With luck, they could get paid twice for the same job. I don't hear a lot of praise for the Acquisitions Incorporated adventure either, but I was really impressed with the dungeon design. Certainly, there were more traps and nuance to every tunnel and leg of travel than I felt like I was getting from the comparable Lost Mines of Phandelver, however. And the story immediately leaps to the point for my setup. I'm rather torn now whether I want to indulge the campaign into Xeraspace, not everyone's cup of tea but maybe worth the explore, where it had been aimed, or if it might be more fun playing as Acquisition Incorporated's first intergalactic delivery crew. Good news, everyone! Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know in the comments below. What is your campaign idea? Be it just something you wrote down randomly or something you have fully planned out, we want to know. We love you all. See you next time. Toodaloo for now.